Greetings, my name is Kerry and welcome back to my channel. Today I am continuing my series for you with all the series that I have started and have yet to finish. So these are all ones that I'm probably intending to carry on with. Some of them I'm undecided about, I'll let you know about those when I get to them, but these are series that I've started that I still have books to read in. There's quite a lot on this list, I haven't actually counted, I maybe should. Yeah, so I'm just going to get into it. I'm not going to go into too much detail about any of these. I'm just going to let you know how many books are in the series and how many of them I have read. So without further ado, I'm just going to go straight into it. So the first series that I have started, I actually started last year and haven't finished yet, is the To All the Boys I Loved Before series by Jenny Han. I've been borrowing these from the library. I've read 2 of the 3 in the trilogy, so I've got the 3rd one on request from the library. I'm just waiting for that to come in so I can finish off that trilogy, and then I've ticked that one off. The next series that I need to finish is currently a duology. I don't know if it's not going to be an ongoing series or not, or if it's just going to be the 2 books, but that is the Dumplin series by Julie Murphy. So I've read the first one, Dumplin, and then there's a sequel, Puddin, which is kind of a continuation but kind of a companion novel, I believe. But I really love Dumplin, so I'm really looking forward to reading Puddin. My library doesn't have it at the moment and I'm on a book buying ban, so I can't actually buy a copy for myself, so I'm gonna be sitting tight on that one until I can either buy myself a copy or until the library gets put in. So it's only out in hardback in the UK at the moment, so they might be waiting for the paperback to come out. The next series I need to finish, and this is one that I'm going to try and get going on soon, is the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy by Laini Taylor. So I should say most of the time I'm going to be holding up the first book in the series, sometimes it won't be, but generally it'll be the first book in the series I'm holding up. So this is a trilogy. I've read the first one, this one, Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I have 2 to go. I'm going to try and get to them soon. I want to try and read at least one of them in the next month or so. Laini Taylor has fast become one of my favourite writers, so I'm really keen to get on with those, and then to reread The Strange to Dreamer duology, which I've already read, because apparently there are a lot of Easter eggs that I want to find. Laini Taylor's an author for me now. I discovered her quite late last year, but really love her writing style, so keen to get on with that one. The next series that I need to carry on with is again a trilogy, again one that I discovered last year, and I now own the entire trilogy. That's the Illuminate Ours by Amie, Kaufman and J. Kristoff. So I've read this one, the first one, Illuminae. I've got to read the follow-ups, Gemina and Obsidio. So again, I'm going to try and get to these quite soon and hopefully finish that trilogy off in the next couple of months. The next series that I need to continue and have the added pressure now of it's just been picked up by Netflix to be made into a TV series is the Grisha Trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. So I read Shadow and Bone. Again, these are the ones I borrowed from the library. I've just picked up Siege and Storm yesterday, so you can see the tag still in there. I will be reading this one fairly soon. So I've read one out of the original Grisha trilogy. I know there are more in the Grishaverse. I don't know how many more off the top of my head, but I do intend to read all of them and hopefully try and read all of them before the Netflix series comes out, because I'm really keen to watch that, because it sounds amazing. And people talk about these books all the time on BookTube and on Book Twitter, and I feel like I've been left behind a little bit. So I really enjoyed the first book. I'm really keen to carry on with this series. I'm going to keep borrowing from the library at the moment because of the book buying ban, but it is one that I'll intend to buy myself copies of because I've enjoyed them enough for that. The next series that I need to carry on with, well, I haven't decided about this next series, so it's a duology called Loki by Joanne Harris. So the first one I've read, which is the Gospel of Loki, and then the follow-up is the Testament of Loki, I believe. So I didn't love the first one as much as I wanted to. I think I gave it 3 stars. I was kind of meh about it, but it left it on a bit of cliffhanger, so I might pick it up this year, I might not. Haven't definitely decided yet. It's quite low priority. It's one that's going to be borrowing from the library, and I haven't made up my mind if I'm going to carry on with that series or not. So if you've read that series and enjoyed it, please let me know, or haven't enjoyed it. Either way, let me know if you think I should carry on, if that series is worth carrying on with or not. Likewise, the next series I've got on my list is the Thomas Cromwell books by Hilary Mantel. So I think it's going to be a trilogy. There are currently 2 out. I've read the first one, Will Fall. I did have Bring Up the Bodies Out from the library. That's the second one, but I didn't get around to reading it last year. Again, I haven't quite decided if I'm going to carry on with it because there's no release date yet for the 3rd one. So I haven't made up my mind if I'm going to continue with that series or not. The next series I've got on my list is one that, again, I've not definitely decided. I think I probably will try and read them all at some point, but it's a very long series, and these are the Maigret books by George Simenon. I've read one of them. Turns out there are approximately 76 in this series. I don't know if they've all been translated into English either. They're a detective series about a French police detective called Maigret. I enjoyed the one that I read, but I had seen they've been adapting some of them for TV in the UK because the book that I'd read I'd already seen the TV version of. I knew what was going to happen, so it kind of slightly spoiled it for me, but I enjoyed it enough that, and I find the character intriguing enough that I do want to read them at some point. But as I say, there are 76 books, at least approximately, in the series, so don't know if I will be picking them up this year. It depends if the library has any of them, but I would kind of like to. The one that I read was sort of around the 48 mark in the series. I'd rather try and read them in order if I can. So may or may not be carrying on with that series, probably not in the near future. The next series is one that I have been really enjoying, so I will carry on with it, and that's the Peter Grant series by Ben Aaronovitch. So the first one is called Rivers of London. There are currently 7 main books in the series. There are a few sort of extras, novellas, or ones that like prequels that fit into the sequence. So I've read the first 4 main ones, so I've got 3 to go on the main ones, and then the extras that I don't know at what point they fit into the series, but I'm going to read the main ones first and then read the others. So again, those ones have been borrowing from the library. Really enjoyed the first one and the fourth one. Didn't enjoy the second and third ones quite so much, but it's definitely a series that I want to keep going on with. It's sort of magical realism. It's about a police detective in London who is also a magician, so that's quite fun if you're looking for something along those lines. I do really recommend Peter Grant books by Ben Aaronovitch. The next series is definitely one that I'm going to be continuing with, but probably not right away, and that's the Poirot books by Agatha Christie. So I've read a handful of these. I've read 6 of them in no particular order. There's over 40 in this series. I can't remember exactly how many. It's not very clear on Goodreads how many there actually are. These are ones that I have a handful of them as well still. I haven't kept all the ones that I've already read because I wasn't going to reread them, but now I wish I'd kept them. Although they were in fairly poor condition, some of them, because I had them at least third or fourth hand. So I will be trying to collect all of these books again, and at some point I will read them, and I'll try and read them all in order. This one is my favourite one that I've read so far, which is Murder on Orient Express, which is one of the best known ones anyway. So I definitely do intend to read all the Poirot books at some point. Next we have a continuing series. There are currently 2. I've only read the first one, so this are the Raythan Preddy series by Paula Lennon. These are set in Jamaica. They're crime novels, so Raythan Preddy is the main detective in these. This is the first one, Murder in Montego Bay, which I really enjoyed. I've got the second one, I just haven't got around to reading it yet. They've come out about one a year, I think, so the third one may be out this year or next year, I'm not entirely sure, but I'll be keeping an eye out for them because they're really enjoyable books. If you like Death in Paradise, you will like these books. Next we have the Paddington Bear books by Michael Bond. This is the first one, A Bear Called Paddington. So I read a lot of these when I was younger, but I don't remember exactly which ones I have and haven't read. I have most of them still. I'm missing a couple, so I will be continuing on with these series because they are adorable. Next we have a book that I didn't realise there was a sequel to, which is The 100-Year-Old Man Who Climbed Out of a Window and Disappeared, I think is the full title. I've only written down The 100-Year-Old Man here, by Jonas Jonasson, and there's a follow-up which is More Adventures of the 100-Year-Old Man or something like that. I can't remember the title of the second one. So I've read the first one, I haven't read the second one. That is one that I will try and get to if I can get it from the library again. The next series that I need to carry on with is the Wrinkle in Time, the Time Quintet, they're called actually, by Madeleine L'Engle. So this is the first one, A Wrinkle in Time. This is the only one I've read. There are 5 books, it's obviously being a quintet. I have the second one, I don't have any of the others at the moment, so we'll be carrying on with those at some point. Then we have the Jeeves books by P G Wodehouse. This is the only one I've read, which is Jeeves and the Offing. I'm not sure what number this comes in the series. There were about 15, I think, in the series. You don't have to read these in order. I haven't been. I've got slightly random ones from the series, so I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to try and get them all and read them in order or just carry on reading them randomly. Haven't made up my mind yet because, again, I'm on a book buying ban, so I'm not actually allowed to buy books at the moment, but at some point I will be carrying on with these books. Then we have the Mary Finch trilogy by Rose Melican. So I've read 2 out of the 3 of these. This is the first one, The Blackstone Key. I read the second one, The Counterfeit Guest, quite recently, and I've got the third one, The Mistaken Wife, to go. So we'll try and finish this series off fairly soon because they are really fun historical mystery adventure stories. They're really enjoyable. Then we have more Agatha Christie. So I've just started on this series. This is the Miss Marple series. I think there are 14 in this series. I read one a couple of years ago which was random, but I'm now going to be reading them in order as part of Mission Marple, which is hosted by Books Like Quo. So I'll link down to her first video in that series. So I've read the Murder at the Vicarage, which is the first one in this series. I have all of these, and so we'll be reading them over the next 6 or 7 months. I think it's 2 a month for the next 7 months. Really looking forward to reading more Agatha Christie, and then once I've finished all of these is when I'll start trying to get more of the Poirot ones, because my book buying ban is meant to be for 6 months, so I will try and start acquiring them after that, I believe. Trying not to knock over the pile of books by my feet. So as I mentioned, I'm going through these fairly quickly because there are a lot of them. If you want to know any more about any of these series, please do let me know, and I'll try and talk about them a bit more in future videos. So the next series I have to talk about is the Wellquake series by Scarlett Thomas. This is the first one, Dragon's Green. There are 2 out at the moment, so the second one is called The Chosen Ones, which I've got but haven't read yet. The third one is out later this year, so I've got to try and read the second one before the third one comes out, because I will be pre-ordering the third one from Ninja Book Box, where I got the first 2 because they're signed, and I believe they're both first editions that I've got as well. So I'm looking to collect all the matching ones. These are really fun. They are middle grade, probably, certainly YA or younger. The main characters are all school children, so I'd say probably around 11-year-old age range. They're really fun. They're about books as well, and there's a great cast of characters, so this is a really good series that I am looking forward to carrying on, and I'm a bit cross at myself that I haven't read the second one yet because I pre-ordered it and haven't got around to it. So the next series I have to talk about is another one that I didn't know there was a sequel to, so that is Watership Down by Richard Adams. There is a follow-up, which I can't remember the title, but it's something like More Tales from Watership Down. Watership Down is a book that I absolutely adore. I reread it year before last, I think it was. I just really love the characters, I love the story, so I was actually really quite excited when I realised the other day that there's a sequel, so I'm gonna look forward to getting that as soon as I'm allowed to buy books again, or I might see if the library has it, so that I can carry on with this series, because I just really, really love this book, and yeah, was really excited to hear there was a follow-up. Okay, next we are going on to a series that I really, 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 really want to finish this year because I've been reading it for so long and I keep putting them off, and that's partly because I really love these books and don't want it to end, and partly because they've been adapted for TV again and I've been enjoying watching them, and that is the Poldark books by Winston Graham. About half the books I have for the series are from the original TV adaptation, which I think was in the 80s, and I've picked most of them up secondhand. So my dad actually recommended these books to me about 5 or 6 years ago, and I started reading them, and then I was about halfway through the series when they announced that they were adapting them for TV again. So I've been really enjoying the new adaptation, but it's meant that I've sort of been stalled in reading them, because although I'm still far ahead in the books of where the TV series is up to, I'm always about to pick up the next book and then they announce that the next series is out on TV. So I will be continuing. I've read 9 of the 12, I've got 3 to go, so really keen to try and read these this year. The next series that I really want to carry on with is The Chronicles of Barsetshire by Anthony Trollope. So there are 6 books in this series. I've read 2 of them. I've read the first one and the third one. So I read the third one before I realised it was actually part of a series. They're kind of companion novels, so they don't follow on directly. So I read this one last year. I have most of them. I think I'm missing 1 or 2. I think I'm missing the 4th one and the 6th one. I'm not entirely sure. So I'm going to try and carry on with this series this year, and I will be rereading the third one that I've already read as the series goes on. So these are classic novels, Victorian times, and I do enjoy Anthony Trollope's writing style. He's a bit less preachy than Dickens, which is quite nice. I love Dickens as well, but yeah, these are really good. So that is a series that I do definitely want to carry on with this year. The next series is a fantasy series. This is The World of the Five Gods by Lois or Lois McMaster Bujold. So there are currently 3 books in this series. I think originally she intended that there would be 5. I don't know if she's actually going to write any more. She also writes a very popular science fiction series that I think she's been focusing on, but I really, really love this book. This book at one point made me laugh so much that I kind of went into a bit of a laughing spasm, and I was away for a weekend with a friend and I had to explain why I was giggling so much. So they're really funny, really, really well written. I have the second one, which I'm really looking forward to reading. It follows slightly different characters, I think, and I hadn't realised there was already a third one out, so I will be trying to pick that up as well at some point. The next series is a series that I did not realise was a series until I sat down to make this video, which is The Cemetery of Forgotten Books by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. So this is the first one, The Shadow of the Wind. I have the second one. It's currently a trilogy, but I think there are some additional novellas that fit in there as well. Yeah, I've got a few more to read, and this one, as I said, I did not realise this was actually a series, so I do intend to carry on with these. Next we have the Dirk Gently series by Douglas Adams. So Douglas Adams is better known for the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series, which I have read. This is another series that he's written. There are 3 books in the series. I have read the first one, I've got 2 to go. The next series is quite a long one that I have sort of put on the back burner because I've been reading other books by this author. So this is the No. 1 Ladies Detective Agency series by Alexander McCall Smith. There are 19 books in the series apparently. I hadn't realised it got to that many. I've read 5. So I definitely need to get my skates on with this. I do have a number of them. I think I have up to book 10. I kind of haven't been reading these because I was focusing on the Scotland Street novels, but I'm up to date on those and they're only coming out 1 a year. So I've got a good chance, I think, to try and catch up on some of these this year and try and make progress with this series. I certainly at least need to try and read all the ones I've got already, and then can either borrow from the library or buy the continuations as they go. I really enjoy these books and really do want to catch up on them. And it's been a little while, so there are continuing aspects of the story that I may have slightly forgotten. So whether I'll reread the first 5 or just carry on, I'll probably just carry on with them. I haven't decided yet. So that's those. I've got quite a precarious pile of books stacking up next to me now. The next series is a duology. These are contemporary novels by Diane Chamberlain. So the series is Before the Storm and the second one is called Secret She Left Behind. It was a really long time ago that I read this. I think I actually bought Secret She Left Behind before I realised it was a sequel. So I bought Before the Storm and read it and then never got around to reading Secret She Left Behind. So I do need to reread this one because I only vaguely remember what happened in it, and then I'll read Secret She Left Behind. But those are quite high priorities on my list to read this year. I think Secret She Left Behind is one of the oldest books on my TBR. So definitely want to get a shift on with those this year. Next we have the Inkwell Trilogy by Cornelia Funk. So this is Inkheart. This is the first one. This is the only one I've read so far. Don't actually own the others, so I'll either need to buy them or get them from the library at some point. But these are quite low priority, so, and I will reread this one before I read the others. But yeah, these are quite down on the list. I'll try and finish some of the others first that I actually own all of before I get onto this one. And next we have another sort of childhood favourite, which is one that I hadn't realised until a couple of years ago was actually a series. I didn't know there was more than one book. So that's Anne of Green Gables by Ellen Montgomery. So there are actually 9 books in this series. I have this one which I read a long time ago, so I will need to reread it, and I have the second one which I picked up from the Ninja Bookshop just before Christmas. Well, I used some Christmas money to get it actually. So I have the first 2. I will be keeping an eye out for the others in used bookstores and that sort of thing. Probably once I finish my book buying ban, although it's the kind of books I might pick up on my Hay-on-Wye trip later this year. These are a really enjoyable series. Well, this first one was, I remember really enjoying it when I read it as a child, and I have a lot of friends that really love this series, so I'm looking forward to getting through that one. Oh, the next one's also a kids series as well actually. Again, these are ones I really enjoyed when I was younger. So this is the Artemis Fowl books by Owen Colfer. I've read the first 2. I have the next 2. There are at least 8 in this series. Again, I probably will need to reread the first 2 before I carry on with the series, so I don't know how soon I'll get to these. They're fairly low priority again because I'll have to buy more books in the series or borrow them. I haven't decided which yet. So that's those. Nearly there. Next we have the Languedoc Trilogy by Kate Moss. I've read the first two. This is Labyrinth, and I've read the second one, Sepulchre, which I'm never sure if I'm pronouncing that right. I have the third one, Citadel. I've had it for ages. I haven't got around to it yet. Probably will just read it without rereading the others, but I will reread this whole series at some point. I really like Kate Moss's writing style, and I don't know why I haven't got around to reading the third one yet. I think actually at one point I had 2 copies of the third one. Probably don't still have 2 copies. This is a series that I definitely need to get on with, so I might try and finish this series this year. Finally, the series that is probably the highest priority for me. Again, it was when I bought the second one not knowing it was a sequel, and then I bought the first one and read it, and then never got around to reading the second one. The second one is actually the oldest book on my TBR on Goodreads. And not necessarily the oldest book that I own that I haven't read, but because of when I set up my Goodreads. So this makes this sort of really high priority for me. So this is the Jinshay series by Alma Alexander. This is the first book, The Secrets of Jinshay. The second book is called The Embers of Heaven. And The Embers of Heaven, as I say, is the oldest book on my TBR on Goodreads. So it's definitely one that I want to read this year, but I do need to reread The Secrets of Jinshay. I think it's not necessarily a direct sequel. I think it's set a century or so later. I'm not entirely sure, but I do really want to reread this one and to read The Embers of Heaven quite soon. Although this is quite a long video, but that was quite a quick run through of all the series that I've started and have not yet finished that I intend to carry on with at the moment. So there's quite a lot on there. I probably need to not let myself start any more new series until I've finished some of these. Whether I'll stick to that or not, I'm not entirely sure of the number, so I'm going to count them up and I'll put them on the screen there so you can see how many series I've started that I haven't finished. It is an extra goal of this year. I didn't think about it when I was making my goals video, but it's actually is an extra goal for this year, is to try and finish off some of these series, particularly the ones where they're trilogies or duologies that I've part read them and haven't finished them, and particularly some of the ongoing series as well, so that I can get up to date with them, so I can just read them as they come out. So that is the aim, and then I will do a review at the beginning of next year and let you know how I got on with my series reading this year. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these series, if you've enjoyed them, if there's any that you think is really not worth me, particularly the ones that I'm not sure about. If you don't think it's worth me carrying on with them, that would be very helpful. Or if you really love them and think I definitely should carry on with them, then let me know that too. Yeah, let me know what you thought of any of these books, any of these series, and what series you are really desperate to finish that you've got hanging over you. That's all. So please like this video if you liked it, and please think about subscribing if you haven't already. And that's it for today, so I will talk to you again soon. Bye.